you both touched on this about understanding that, like, bringing your whole self, authentic design, using your authentic perspective to create spaces that empower you, that ignite you, that motivate you, right? I like to talk about identity as a motivation that can't be burnt out. It will last forever. So Ania, how did you start to get, and I guess realize, authenticity and the power of authenticity when it comes to design? Or Lexi and then
Um,
Ania.
And then me.
okay, so I'm going first.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, so to start off, I have a very interesting graphic design story. I really originally wasn't going to be a graphic designer. And then when I finally went to school for graphic design, I was the only Black girl in my graphic design class. So it forced me to think about things. I felt a little bit self-conscious about my art. I felt like I had to, step on my tippy toes around other people so that I don't hurt their feelings about how I feel about towards my art. So I think that's really the thing that shaped me, because after a while it kept turning into, I don't really think that this is the art that reflects who I am. Like, I want to talk about Black girl magic because that's where I'm trying to be. So I was like, my teacher kept telling me, she kept saying something along the lines of, you don't want to oversaturate your work with just nothing but Black excellence or Black art. Like, you should, make yourself more diverse. And I understood where she was coming from on a very professional level when it comes to like different industries. But I was like, no, like, I know in my heart, I want to do something that's catered to my community. I want to produce art that doesn't reflect who I am because it won't align correctly with me. So I think really going to a school that doesn't have people that look like me really shaped who I am as a designer.
Yeah. Lexi, what about you?
I mean, I've constantly been in spaces where I was the only one, and having to, quote unquote, assimilate into the culture and the practices of these spaces, knowing that I had a perspective and I had an ability that wasn't being used to the best benefit of my people in my community. And I understood that assimilation might make it more comfortable for those who I was assimilating towards, but it didn't make me more comfortable. It didn't make my work any better. It didn't do any justice for what I was trying to achieve. And so I had to step back from that and really look at what's the impact that I'm trying to create, what's the legacy I'm trying to create, and what's the narrative that I'm trying to change. And if you keep assimilating, you remove the authenticity from yourself. You remove the authenticity from your community and your culture. You say we are not good enough when you do it that way. And for me, that's not an option. There's constantly this idea that in order for us to be successful, we have to take this seat at the table. And I'm like, well, forget that table. I have a different way to do this. I have my own table and there are no seats. We're on the table. That's it. That's the only way to do it. And having an interior architectural background, it's a really white male dominated field. And so I'm coming to the table already knowing that my identity as a woman of color is already off-putting. It's already presenting itself as political. And I'm like, even though I'm qualified to do the job, you're already looking at me with a stigma. Even though I have all the accreditations that are needed, I'm still looked at as less than. And so authenticity allows me to come to the table and be who I am. I can be adorned with gold. I can be adorned with all my earrings, my hair done, my nails done, and still do my job. I can come to the table and talk in colloquial language and still do my job. I create those narratives for people in my community who won't never have the opportunity to get into those spaces because somebody's already putting the stigma on them. And so instead of trying to assimilate, let's just be authentic to who we are, produce quality work and produce quality experiences so that we no longer have to dwell in that realm, but progress with who we are.
Yes, I agree.
John, what do you feel? Because you asked this question, but what's your perspective? And then I'm going to jump in and share a little story.
Yeah, I agree with everything you both said, and I think being the only is a common thread here, right? Onlyness and what that means. It's been a big journey for me of understanding and deconstructing onlyness and reshaping it to empower and motivate me internally, right? Not looking for motivation outside, but looking for motivation inside. And I found that through my faith in God, realizing that I place these places to be a bridge between different communities, to be a bridge between, I want to say, the people that don't know and between the people that do know, right? And authenticity was this really interesting word that I like to think that authenticity, you can't say that you're authentic, only that can only be validated through other people. So you have to show up authentic to then be validated that I am showing up authentically all the time and not switching all over the place, right? That voice is consistent. And I think that that's where the unique, like, that's why, Ania, what you said about, like, I'm doing Black Girl Magic, and I don't care what you say, teacher, I'm doing it. That's authentic because now you said it and we've seen you. And then when you launch the magazine, it's like, all right, Nia's living herself, her full self, right? And then the opposite of that, not the opposite, another tangent of that is integrity, right? And being being in integrity with yourself, because now that is not defined by the outside world. That is defined inside, and that integrity, I think, is core to us as designers. What you said, Lexi, about producing great work, right? Was it Emilio? I've messed up his Emiolo.
Miola.
Don't hate
Mhm.
me,
No.
Emiolo, if I miss. He's the taste gap and what he spoke about, right? Like, yeah, integrity. I want to produce excellent work for this reason. And then actually going out there and excelling and practicing to produce excellent work to make an impact or to ignite change, right? Authenticity, integrity. And I think that that's been, I think, a beautiful merger for me in my design career.
I really, really love. There's so many gems what you guys shared, and I'll just share a quick story about being the only one and being authentic. And Lexi, when you talked about this authentic programmatic community development, and believe it or not, like I used to be a quiet person. I wouldn't talk. I just like doing the work, and I like being behind the scenes. And it took Bryce to be like, yo, Melinda, he's got that beautiful deep voice. He's like, yo, Melinda, you need to get out there. You come on. And he was the one who really pushed me to get my story out there. And he challenged me in a very gentle and beautiful way, because I was satisfied with being behind the scenes, but I really felt I was robbing myself by not being authentic. And so then I got hired by this corporation last year to do some authentic programming. And that quietness, I just felt like I got to stand on courage. And they're paying me as a consultant. So it was like, okay, I'm going to tell you what I think. And so then last week, we designed this heart, and it changes with the seasons and the holidays. And they said, okay, well, we want to do, so we celebrated Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, things like that. And they said, hey, we want to do some Juneteenth. And I said, no, I don't think that's such a great idea, because that is not going to be authentic. And here's how you should really do a Juneteenth celebration. Because first of all, maybe you guys think Juneteenth is kind of relatively new. Yolanda says, uh-oh. First of all, people have been planning Juneteenth celebrations in the community. So first of all, you guys doing something for Juneteenth, you got to acknowledge the people who are in Detroit, who are doing the work, who've been doing the work. And so I really appreciate what you guys said, because our voices and being at the table, we need to have these conversations, and we need to have the courage to speak up, because if not, it's not going to change.